I'm gonna let it sit overnight. We'll fire it up tomorrow. If the pressure jumps up, we got oil pressure, we're golden. If not, then I'm gonna probably light it on fire and dance around it or something. What is up, everybody? Today is one of those days. I have worked on this freaking car over and over, trying to get it down to drag strips, out to events. Every time I think I've got it licked, it just doesn't want to cooperate. So instead of giving up, against my better judgment, I'm gonna mess with it some more, because that's what I do. I can't quit. I just have problems or whatever. Can't leave well enough alone. So the Maliboom has an oiling issue again. The problem is, if I leave it, like right now, if I go to start it, I have to pull the coil packs to prime it, because there's no oil essentially in the system. Like, it's there, but it's not primed. So that's an issue. And then it bleeds off when you're driving it. And I've heard cam bearings, and more cam bearings. And then the other thing I've heard is the O-ring pickup. Well, I've changed the O-ring pickup. It seemed to help at one time, unless I installed it wrong again, and it worked for a little while and then it quit working, which I guess could happen. I think I might have a different issue with it. So today I'm gonna actually pull the transmission so we can put a TH400 in. While I'm in the back, there's a thing called an oil galley plug that nobody talks about. Nobody's ever had one go bad, apparently. I put it on the internet on a couple forums, and everybody just thinks I'm probably an idiot. Well, I'm actually going to pull that out of this car, because I'm going to pull a tranny, and it's behind the back cover. If that little O-ring is bad, that could be a huge issue. And again, that's one of those out of sight, out of mind. It's behind the rear main cover plate, so if you have the cover on, you'd never change that part. And if you got it stuck to a transmission, you'd never take the cover off, and then you'd never take the barbell out. So I'm going to drop the transmission today. We'll pull the rear cover, inspect that. I'll pull the barbell out, replace that. I've got a new one. And then I'm even going to go as far as putting a new oil pump and then a new O-ring. We'll just kill all the, we're going to kill the entire oiling system in one shot, fire it up. And if it still has low oil pressure, then it is cam bearings, and we're looking for a new short block. But if it doesn't, then I win, and then hopefully we can put the new driveline in after the 400, because it'll take a new yoke and a driveline cut, and maybe we'll knock our times down a little bit. Who knows? Let's find out. So this is the part where having a manual gauge, or actually paying attention, comes in handy, because I know that when I go to start this car, the pressure bleeds down. It bleeds off. And if you don't have oil pressure when you start your car, you're going to chew it up fairly quickly. Then you are going to need cam bearings and all kinds of bearings and everything else that goes along with it. So by unplugging these, it'll allow me to turn it over until the gauge reads pressure. So let me show you guys. This thing's been sitting actually for a while, because as soon as I had the issue, I got busy with life and a little discouraged. Hell, let's see if it'll even turn over. But if we turn it over, watch this. See how it doesn't do anything? Then I give the starter a break so we don't burn stuff up. But literally, I gotta prime the whole system, and it'll come back up. Also, this is the part the neighbors love too, because it's almost 8 in the morning. Come on, little car, let's do this. Well, geez, this thing ain't even doing anything. So that's even worse than, let me try one more. Jesus Christ, you see that? See how long that took? Now let's see if we got enough battery to start this freaking thing. It smells like freaking fuel. It's probably gonna not be too excited when it starts. Maybe we'll hydro lock it. We'll E85 lock it. yeah, so if that thing took any longer to prime, I was ready to give up. It's never even taken that long to prime, but it has been sitting for, I don't know, at least a week or so, because there's no reason to continually start it if it's not oiling, and then you got to do that shit every time. So I'm going to start ripping this thing apart. We're going to put it on jack stands. I think the first order of business is to pull the transmission out. Yeah, I think I'll pull, I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. I'm either going to, I have two options. I can either pull the transmission out first, do everything on the back, or I can pull the whole front of the motor off, get the oil pump and all that stuff situated. I think I'm just going to do the transmission first. That's really why I'm here. And then I want to see that barbell piece. So I'm interested in that. So we're going to pull the transmission, pull the back cover, everything on the motor first, swap all that out, and then at that point maybe we'll get to the pan. I'll do the pan and everything while the other trainee's out. So my hat's looking pretty slick. Anyway, majority of the stuff is out. I don't have the transmission jack, and I don't know if my car is high enough to fit it underneath there. Anyway, long story short, I'm gonna wrestle the transmission out on my jack by myself. Hopefully I don't get stuck under it and squirm, and then everybody can laugh at me and before I get rescued. So, all right, so here's the progress so far. Transmission is out. Minimal mess. I forgot to do the dipstick. You always forget something, and I forgot it. So we made that mess, but I have this dude over here. So there is my 400. I'm gonna go with the 400 over the 350 that was given to me because this has an upgraded pump, full manual valve body. This thing's essentially a drag transmission ready to go. You can see that it has a delete right here. So I could run a trans brake on it, but we're gonna go this route because I know it works and I don't know if the other one works. So we're gonna do that. So that's gonna go in here after we do all the rest of the oiling and the bullshit other stuff we gotta do. So here is the oil galley plug I was talking about. This is one I pulled out of the car, and actually it's still malleable, and it looked like, you can see where it's clean still. It seemed like it was sealed because I could barely get this thing out. Not barely, but I had to obviously chew it up a little bit getting it out. But we are already here, so I'm gonna put the new one in. So I don't think this is the issue. Although I was this far, I had the transmission out. There's really no reason not to put a new one of those in there, just to curb my crazy. So we're gonna do that, and then we'll keep on rolling. So here's where we ended up about lunchtime. The pan is dropped. I don't know if you can probably see it. There's a friendly oil pump, and my pickup tube actually is not, I don't know if you can see it, but it's not flush right on that back edge. It's probably hard to see. So I don't know if the O-ring is not seated properly, which could be the entire problem I'm having, more than likely, but I'm just gonna go ahead, put a new pump, O-ring, put the pickup in, and now that this is dropped as far as it is, I can actually see that that's seated properly. So I know that'll be 100 when we put it back together. We'll have the new pump. Hopefully we'll have some magic and this thing will run and be friendly, and I can get on my other car. Oh, and I've got no transmission in there either. So, see, I don't know if you can see, but it's sitting over here next to this dude. Old one, new one. Alright, so here's the current state. We've got all this stuff buttoned up. The transmission is underneath on the jack, which was a fiasco. I probably should have filmed that. And now I'm waiting for a transmission crossmember mount, because this didn't have a mount. So I need the mount, put the crossmember back in, that'll bring the ass end of the tranny up. We can suck the bolts in, bolt it down there, transmission is in, and then we can put the rest of this crap back on it, fire it up, see if we got oil pressure, hopefully. Alright, so it is getting dark out. Everything's all cleaned up. As you can see, the car is no longer on jack stands, in the air, getting worked on. So the Turbo 400 is in. I took my measurement. I will get the driveline cut down with a new yoke. So whenever that comes back, I'll have that this week. So that will go in the car. I do have to make new holes for the transmission cross member because they don't line up with anything. So I've got to make new holes and mount that down. But when I fire it up, I get 60 psi oil at idle. I let it get hot and cycle a few times. It dropped to 50 at idle at like 800 RPM, which is a lot of pressure. So we will just run it and see how it goes. If it doesn't work out this time, it's because I need a short block. I doubt it's not gonna work, but it is what it is. So I did a new oil pump pickup tube O-ring, and then I did the oil galley plug, which looks like a little dog bone piece, and I inspected the rear cover when I had the trans out. So I went through everything in the oiling system for the most part that I could touch. I did. So it is done. I will come out tomorrow as the real test. I'm gonna let it sit overnight. We'll fire it up tomorrow. If the pressure jumps up, we got oil pressure, we're golden. If not, then I'm gonna probably light it on fire and dance around it or something. So here we go. It is the day after I did all the work to this little dude, and I got my keys. I'm gonna put the key in, we're gonna turn it, and hopefully we have pressure. We have pressure. This thing is magical, and then I can go make some more passes and break it some more. And if it doesn't, then we didn't really fix it, and I guess we're short block shopping. I have a feeling we're gonna be good, but let's find out. Key in, prime. All right, let's watch this. Come on, little car. Uh-oh, didn't move yet. Making all kinds of noise. Anyway, now we're good to kill it some more. I'm excited with that. So, you know, it took a second to jump up, whatever. It's been sitting overnight, so it'll bleed off a little, and I think that's acceptable because it was quick. As you saw previously, you could turn and turn and turn it till your face was freaking blue and the thing wouldn't start. So, I'm happy with that. I'm calling it a win. Hopefully, we don't have to babysit this thing anymore. And let's go get a driveline cut down, shall we? So we can get this thing back together and make some more episodes for you guys. So that is it. If you guys like this video, don't forget, click that chicken.